It's 4:30 in the morning. Ahead, 3 hours of perfecting dives, strokes and turns. It's the same every morning, all in preparation for a shot at delivering a winning Olympic performance.
A new day dawns over the wild, uncluttered plains of Semilong.
Good morning, this is Mike Parr.
And on the Stephen Nolan Show today,
The sun glints off a partially submerged shopping trolley.
Across the northeast.
I love my son, but I want him hanged.
So coming up this morning,
The father speaks out after the deaths of 2 pensioners.
A gentle breeze softly whistles through the wheelie bins of Boothville.
Plus never photocopy your backside.
it wasn't the way the organisers of Sunday's Great North Run wanted to mark the 25th anniversary.
Must be autumn in Northamptonshire.
You need a little bit of a
We've added 50,000 listeners since we started this programme.
Bit chilly today.
sexual boost.
After you with the muff.
The biggest show in town.
Morning, groovers. BBC Radio Northampton. This is our Burn.
I look at you and suddenly something in your eyes I see soon begins bewitching me. It's that old devil moon that you stole from the sky.
Great performers aren't born great performers. They train, follow routines, develop techniques and learn from experience. In this film, I've been asking the radio talent to share their formulas for success. Have a notebook to hand. Their hints and tips come thick and fast.
I try and throw something new in every night and to not be frightened of it going wrong, because sometimes the wrong things can really turn out to be quite great things.
For anybody that sees a presenter as someone that comes in and, just looks after a BBC show, to be honest with you, they can go to hell.
You should be yourself, but you shouldn't just be yourself. You should give a performance.
You've got a great job. You're on the radio, for goodness sake. It's fantastic. People would kill to do what you're doing.
The Breakfast Show at BBC Radio Newcastle wins awards and is firmly established as #1 in a crowded marketplace. Mike Parr is up at 4 and on air at 7, but his preparation is round the clock.
Yeah, I'm thinking all the time. Almost every waking moment, I'm thinking, I could talk about that. I can get something out of that tomorrow. I can wind somebody up about that. So all the time, you're listening to the radio, watching the telly, picking up a paper, magazine, get something out of that. And the busy days look after themselves. The big story, no problem. It's the quiet days, 90% of the time, where you have to just give it that extra. How can the organisers of the Great North Run be responsible for deaths?
But I genuinely believe that with a bit of thought, you can make anything interesting by coming up with some kind of relatable angle.
What's wrong with a bit of bad language?
Make it funny, make it controversial.
Wait, you went through national service without swearing?
Yes.
I don't believe you.
Come up with a question, a line of questioning the interviewee isn't expecting.
Graham, good morning to you.
Hi, morning.
You're about to lose a lot of friends.
Well, I don't think so.
There are all sorts of things you can do to surprise people and make them turn up the radio.
There's an American word out now, a 4-letter word now, and every other word is that.
We're just trying to work out which one that is, but don't say it.
Bernie Keith is BBC Radio Northampton's morning man.
There's a bird looking in the background. That'll need to be culled in a couple of weeks.
His fast-moving show sounds spontaneous, but not everything is quite as it appears.
What I do is I prepare everything at home simply because my carpet's more comfortable than a BBC chair. And what I get is the diary of tomorrow's show, and there are all the guests. And then if you visualise having a clock in your head, and then you've got it sectioned off like a piece of cake, like the Trivial Pursuit cake. And then the next piece of your cake that you need to fill is the 9:10 interview. So I start with that and work the way through it, and then I put some links in, and then you're basically putting together a jigsaw.
I've read so much about the evils of drink lately, I'm seriously thinking of giving up reading.
Are you? Yeah, I would.
Really, I am.
Carry on.
The Steve Wright programme. I'm only using network people because they're ones that everyone will know. It's all plan to within an inch of his life. And that's pretty much what I do, really, because then you can relax when you're in the studio, I think, and give a performance.
A couple of things of interest here. That's true more than Belgium, Scott.
But it's a performance, and to that end, prepare it. Because you wouldn't go on stage in front of a paying audience ill-prepared. If you were doing stand-up comedy, unless you're doing improv, you wouldn't go on without something in your head. So why go on air and start your show without a clue of what to say?
Stephen Nolan of BBC Radio Ulster and 5 Live knows exactly what he wants to do, but it's not always written down. For Stephen, it's a winning formula, which has seen him collect no fewer than 5 Sony Radio Academy Awards.
So, let me just get this right. You love your son, right?
Yes.
You love your son, but you want him what?
Hanged.
This first guy that I'm interviewing this morning, the father who wants his son hanged, the first thing I'm going to say to him is, you can't, there's no way you could love your son if you want him dead. And then we'll take it from there. I have no idea what I'll ask after that. You must be a very angry man inside, Roger, to hate your son that much.
No, I don't hate my son.
Of course you won't. Of course you hate him. Well, you want him.
Man, I hate him for what he's done.
But you want him dead, Roger. I know where I want to take the interview. I want to be quite provocative against him. And let's see if the punters will defend him or not. I wonder what you make of this at home this morning. Are you admiring this father as he wants his son to be hanged? I guess he's putting the life of the innocent victims above his own flesh and blood. Or do you think this man's absolutely crazy? Hasn't got a heart, hasn't got warm blood in his body. If he actually can come on to this radio programme and other programmes, in fact, you've told your own son that you would want him hanged. I know the stories, I know some of the stats, I know some of the basic stats. Explain the love you have for him.
The love that I have for my son is the fact that even now, almost 5 years on from his conviction, I still love him and I still say goodnight to my son every night. Because I still do love him, because that's the father in me. But is the man in me? No, I'll hang him.
What I don't do, I never write myself out questions. And my argument about that is, if I was having a conversation with you right now, I would say, hold on, to write down 10 questions here. It's not how I work. Roger, get in there and put your arms around your son and tell him you love him.
It's nice to get back to not knowing when the news, the travel and the weather might come in. The pips could come at any moment. How dare you? I've been sent to the Plimpton School of Broadcasting to learn how to do this, I'll have you know. Because I was kicked out by the exams.
Watching you at the desk is a bit like watching a pianist, really. You're not necessarily watching...
Watching a what? Oh, pianist.
Pianist.
From the album, I once went out with some castanets, but I found we just couldn't click. It's rubbish, isn't it?
You're not looking where your hands are going, you kind of instinctively know where the faders are, where the phones are.
The brand new Body Care for Men range, if you like them. 01604 234455. Lemon soap, Caribbean soap, and body care soaps. 01604.
Does that add to the confidence?
Yeah, that's part of the deal. I can never understand why people want to come in a radio studio and be driven. The best way to do it is to learn how to do it yourself, because then you're at the cockpit. You're piloting the plane, so you're in control. If an interview is not going your way, you can close it. If someone on a phone-in feature is not to your tastes in a competition, you can get rid of them. You got a hoodie on? Are we going ram raiding later? Plus, it's cool. It's really great fun. I've been doing it since the age of 3 with turntables and things that then was. It's the best fun, and your job should be fun. You need to find ways of having fun.
Introduce you to the band before this turns into a comedy show. On the saxophone, the vocals, the percussion, the fantastic Tom Richards.
Jamie Cullum is the most exciting jazz talent to emerge over the last 25 years. He's the star, but he's nothing without his team.
BBC Radio Northampton, good morning.
Hello, BBC Radio Northampton.
Top radio talent also know their success depends on teamwork and support at every level.
What I want as the presenter is to know that the producer is in total control. So on the one hand, it's calm, but at the same time, although this sounds like a bit of a conflict, I also want them to be a little bit of a a prodder. I want them to be inside my head. I want them to provoke me. So, on the one hand, calm. On the other hand, a producer sort of say, come on, Mike, come on, what about that, do this. What about this?
And you need people really just to have everything prepared. The producer's job and that of the BA is to enable the presenter to do their job. Now, I come up with ideas myself, but it's good if the producers can come up with ideas.
Who's got the final call this morning? Is it you? Is it the producer?
Producer. Producer's got the final call. Well, if something doesn't work or something could have been better, we'll discuss it afterwards. But while the show's on the air, producer's in charge. It's the only way you can do it.
A presenter, no matter how good a presenter is only as good as the boss above him. There are far too many middle manager types in the BBC that want to tick boxes. They want to win awards, they want good programmes, but they're safe. They should be in the civil service. They should be out driving a bus. We need, as presenters, we need managers that are going to excite us. We need managers that are going to take risks with us.
The adrenaline of being about to go on stage is the thing that kind of can put you in the right mindset, even if you're feeling bad. I've gone on stage with sore throats and, bad stomachs and headaches and hangovers and, everything, drunk.
I've just come out the other end of a hangover, so I feel great now. I feel really good.
I mean, obviously that's not preferable, but I've managed to get away with it on a number of occasions because I can draw on that resource in me that is so used to playing shows.
It's been a long time since I've been filmed at work. Last time there was a dog in a nun's outfit on the set, I seem to remember. Good money though, good money.
Am I losing the plot?
I believe you are, Stephen. I don't know what sort of rarefied world you live in.
How does Sven fill his week? Have you any idea?
I have no idea. And morning to all smokers, or as you'll be known henceforth, vermin. And it's charming, isn't it? How do you feel now? 1 minute you're happily puffing away, taking pleasure from 20 king-size players. And which one of us can truly say that we haven't dreamt of that? And
You should be yourself, and a starting point for that is to speak as you normally would.
Some pubs are going to have sealed rooms, which is slightly sinister sounding to me. Sealed rooms where you can smoke, sealed rooms. You can't get in, can't get out. They're not ready yet. Well, they are, but they're full of chickens at the moment. Chickens on cough sweets and Lambert and Butler. Can't get in, can't get out.
One of my bugbears is switching on the radio and hearing people say something like, a very good morning, which you would never say. No one has ever said that. And very well-established presenters will go on the radio and say a very good morning. Now that in itself is all right, but then they add to it with building blocks, so it'll be a very good morning to you. Now when's the last time you went up to someone at a party, in the street, at work, and said a very good morning to you? Never.
Morning, Groovers. BBC Radio Northampton. This is our burn. 8 minutes past 8 it is.
And then they'll say, a very good morning to you this Wednesday morning. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. It's 27 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock. Well, again, that's a fake way of talking.
Why is everybody putting makeup on? What's going on?
Between 7 and 10, when the Mike Parr show's on, how much of the Mike Parr show is actually Mike Parr?
70% of it. The other 30% is Mike Parr Plus, Mike Parr Extra. Because you've just got to give it a bit of extra welly. Everything you hear is me. You have to be yourself. You do have to be genuine. If you're not genuine, the listener will sniff that at 500 yards. It gives you a little bit of a boost in the bedroom department.
Oh, really?
I think you've always got to be up, haven't you? You've always got to, you've got a great job. You're on the radio, for goodness sake. It's fantastic. People would kill to do what you're doing. It's a great job. And so the least you can do is be up, full of energy, brighten people's, life around the breakfast table and so on.
I'm not obsessed with looking good or coming out smelling of roses after a show. I just like to have a really good time and communicate that to the audience.
Do most presenters not deliver a performance? And to do that, you have to be more than yourself. You have to project a little more.
It's not actually confidence, it's just like, it's optimism and the fact that I'm having a complete laugh.
Thank you very much!
It's not the same as confidence to me, you know, it's certainly not the kind of confidence that enables you to go up to a girl in a bar, which I don't have. You know, it's completely, couldn't be more different really.
Thank you!
The first rule of broadcasting, know your audience. Presenters who know their audience and what their listeners like stand a much better chance of grabbing their attention.
That people have a right to enjoy themselves.
Well, I don't think it was a cavalier attitude, me suggesting that our children should be able to go out on Halloween and enjoy themselves without the adults whinging and gurning at them for causing a bit of noise, for goodness sake.
Stephen.
BBC Local Radio targets people like Sue and Dave in their mid-50s and has compiled a wealth of research about their lives and lifestyle.
The kids don't care about the licences. They want to go out with the fireworks at night. Yes, we need to keep them safe, of course we do, but are we really going to whinge and get ourselves in a tizzy over noise on Halloween night?
Stephen Nolan prides himself on knowing his listeners. In fact, he makes a point of really keeping in touch with his audience. For him, that means getting away from the office, computers and phones. The streets are where Stephen listens out for stories and gathers feedback.
Do you listen to the radio programme in the mornings? Say yes, go on.
Sometimes.
Do you? So tell me what you like and what you don't like about it.
Well, it cheers you up and gets you going, I suppose.
Do I wind you up some mornings?
Oh, you do. You have an ability to wind people up, something shocking. But then, sure, you're just playing devil's advocate, aren't you?
Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Stephen, good to see you.
Good to see you. Who's this here now?
This is Jordan.
Hello, Jordan.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Now tell me what you're out doing today.
Shopping.
Shopping?
After death of judgment.
Good morning.
After death of judgment.
How are you?
I'm not here.
Do you never get sick out here in the street every day?
No. We have to keep going.
What do we think for the radio programme?
Oh my goodness, what are you going to ask me?
Just asking people, do they listen to it? Do you ever listen to it?
Of course, every morning.
Every morning?
Yes, every morning. I never miss it.
Now, there's some people have been winding me up this morning and said, oh, they would never listen to it.
Oh, lot of nonsense. Lot of nonsense. I do listen.
So
Is
go.
he taking this?
Of course he's taking it, that's all right. You're just talking to me.
Oh my goodness.
Couldn't have a better looking couple than you and me on that, could we?
Really good, really good.
I live here and I choose to live here. It's actually probably more difficult for me to do network radio than it is for me to do the local radio here, because it has reminded me about how important it is to know your community and to know the audience, because I'm working now in England for the first time. I don't know the audience, and that's what I'm finding more difficult.
Yeah, we've been doing drugs. Well, we haven't been doing drugs. We've been covering the issue of drugs on the programme in recent weeks, and I tell you what I've started to realise is just the grip, the absolute grip that some of the drug dealers have on our communities.
Well, as you know, Larne's one of the major ports in the north.
A listener can spot a fake like that, and you can put on an act every day, you can be insincere every day, or you can go in there, you can be real, you can get to know the punters, you can get to know what makes them tick, and that's about being them. That's about being one of them. So if you're sitting up on some aloof pedestal, if you're walking around thinking you're better than them, if you're walking around with a polite BBC accent, I think you should go and, with all due respect, be a manager, not a presenter.
Show, Mike Parr on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Playing the jingles and name-checking a station are vital parts of the presentation game. Get it right and the audience figures might soar. Get it wrong and they definitely won't.
How can you afford DVD players, sat-nav and goodness knows what else in your taxi if you tell me that you're not making any money? You're listening to Mike Parr on BBC Radio Newcastle.
Performance presenters name-check the station a lot, but they also bring something of their own lives to the airwaves. The audience feel they know the presenter as a real person, and the result is listener loyalty.
Hello, Margaret in Dunstan.
Good morning.
Good. Are you decent?
No.
You see. So, you know, the number of people calling this show in the buff at the moment is disgusting.
There are lots and lots of subtle ways that an audience will start to trust you. So in other words, someone that's been raped, why are they going to trust me over a period of time? Someone that their home has been attacked, why are they coming to me rather than any other presenter, rather than any newspaper, rather than any television station? And it's because they get to know you. Again, I'll go for that as a real person. And how do you convey that? You've got to share your life with them. Sounds really cheesy. You don't need to tell them what you're doing in bed at night, anything like that. But, you know, I've had 54 parking tickets over the last year. Some people in the BBC go absolutely crazy when I admit to breaking the law. So I park in double yellow lines. Can you see how that's important, that some of the punters actually see me as a real person?
This second operation, another 6 stone getting cut off, I guess some people this morning might be wondering why you just don't stop eating.
It's not eating. Believe you me, it's not eating.
I'm fat. I don't want to be fat. I'm constantly trying to lose weight. The listeners are laughing at me sometimes, empathising with me sometimes.
We're both fat. You're fat, I'm fat. Now, you don't get the 37 stone from eating lettuce leaves, do you?
All of those real things are so important.
Today's my diet club day.
Is
so
it?
I'm so pleased to see. I can't wait to get there, get weight and get home.
How much are you trying to lose?
About stone.
Yeah, me too, actually.
But I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I think I'd feel a little bit comfortable in my own skin, just a stone lighter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And what are you going to be having for your tea tonight?
I'm going to have gammon and pineapple.
Ah, well, good to hear you're not having the egg. You know?
I will have the egg as well.
No, you tinker.
Quite right, have an egg.
There you are, egg or something, any protein.
If you start sneezing, then we're not ringing you tomorrow. First case of chicken flu in the county, that'll be.
Yeah, but it's better poaching an egg, isn't it?
Yeah, you could poach it, but to have sort of a high protein meal, you know, in the evening, it's good. Just cut out the carbs.
Well, I won't argue with you, Neil, because obviously you're in great shape yourself.
It's impossible to think of any great performer in any walk of life who isn't passionate about what they do. Thank goodness Mike's radio show performance is better than his golf.
Yeah, it's on the fairway, which isn't a bad start.
In radio, the best are nuts about the medium. They eat, drink and sleep radio. They demand of themselves a great performance every time they sit behind the mic.
Thank you, Caddy.
Your radio work is all about consistency. It's about doing it day in, day out. I mean, you're a perfectionist. Is it the same with the golf?
Yes, it is the same with the golf. It's about hitting the ball cleanly and correctly every time. A bit like doing the radio show. Obviously, a heck of a long way to go with the golf. But yeah, consistency, that's the key.
So 50 yards this week, 100 yards next week.
Yeah.
But every shot 100 yards.
Every shot 100 yards. Long way to go yet, though, eh?
It's a good job it doesn't pay the mortgage.
Hey! Never accept second best. Never accept second best. Don't just go through the motions. When it comes to radio, I'm quite competitive. I want to be number one in the market. Anything else just isn't good enough. And so ratings, the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning at 4:30 are ratings. Simple as that. And if the ratings go down, that makes me unhappy. Would you like a bit of mooncake, by the way, Lukey? It gives you a little bit of a boost in the older department. So then I'll leave that with you, Lukey. It's the best job in the world, isn't it? That's what gets me out of bed at 4:30 in the morning. The fact that I'm waking up the North East, and at the moment there are more people listening to this radio station, with 40 stations on the dial, more people listening to this show than anything else, beating all of the stations.
When 1,500 people are watching your every move, trying something new is a risky business, and it doesn't always come off. Well, not immediately.
One of the things that we do particularly is we don't have a set list. We have a rough idea of the arc of the show and what finishes and what starts the show and stuff, but mostly what happens in between is pretty much up to me in the show. You know, I'll have a list of songs in my head or maybe written down on the floor or something, but mostly I try and vary it night to night depending on the crowd reaction, things like that, so that keeps it fresh. And also just the way we play songs, the approaches of jazz, the way jazz musicians approach it. So we play the songs in different ways most nights as well. You know, sometimes subtle differences, sometimes complete differences. And I try and throw something new in every night. And to not be frightened of it going wrong, because sometimes the wrong things can really turn out to be quite great things.
So would that be risk-taking?
Absolutely, you have to take risks every night. I mean, you can't be afraid to fall on your ass, because that's sometimes where the magic happens. The magic happens out your ass.
When you're as experienced as you are and established as you are, you still need to keep taking risks?
Yeah. Yeah. You need to push the envelope all the time, really. Because you will stagnate. You know, it's a great job, it's a fantastic job, but it is a factory job. You know, effectively I'm going in, I'm doing gags in the same place every day.
And do you know where they do that most? Where they gather to smoke outside most?
Tell me, Bernie.
Hospitals.
You get one complaint and you've got 10,000 people listening. Not too bad, is it? Have a go. Have a go.
Everyone says they want feedback, but maybe not from a colleague who's masquerading as the phone-in caller from hell.
Yesterday on your show, you were shouting down Mr. Anderson's throat. You told Mr. Anderson that your program was #1.
Here's Anderson now. Morning, Anderson.
Let that guy alone, let him speak.
Who is this lunatic?
I
don't
have
know.
to defend Mr. Anderson because...
So how do presenters really know they're doing a good job? Who's on hand to help them give an even better performance next time? Listeners, producers, editors, they all have a role in coaching and feedback.
And you will never be king of the airwaves, Mr. Nolan.
No, certainly not.
It's
Never!
It's Darth
Well,
Vader.
it's supposed to be in busy. Well done.
Stephen even practices a form of DIY feedback.
Who do you trust to be honest with you when you've come off air and you know, I guess in your heart of hearts how it's gone, but who do you trust?
I trust myself. Very bizarre thing about me. My friends know this. They think I'm partly an anorak because I do it. I'm presenting 12 years now. I have not ever missed listening to at least part of a show in 12 years of shows, and I listen to them in the car. And you spot your mistakes, and you spot where it's going boring. I also have I've got a producer that shouts at me, that tells me where to go, that tells me what I'm doing wrong. I shout back, but it's really important that you've got someone who's prepared to challenge you. And I've got a couple of mates as well that work in the business that I admire their opinion.
I get a lot of feedback from listeners. They tell you in quite graphic detail, and that's always heartening, you know, because then you can think, well, am I on the money? Am I aiming it at the right people?
Tell me, if you were describing Bertie Cooper to someone, how would you describe him?
He's very amusing, very amusing. He's a very interesting character as well.
He's a jolly person. Bubbly sort of person.
I think he's got a sense of people, a sense of what they want and what the ladies want especially.
He tells you what he thinks. That's what I like about him.
He gets through to everybody.
He's just so knowledgeable, isn't he, about everything?
A gay bingo caller.
Just because someone passes an opinion doesn't mean that that's right. The trick is to go home, think about it for a couple of days, and then come back to it and think, are they right? And if they're right, then change it.
Passes the time by talking a lot about rubbish to me. Yes, but it's good. If you knew the money I got paid for this load of old tat, you'd be shocked, Doris.
Well, you know what people are like in this business? They're too nice to each other, actually. You've got to have, if you don't have honest conversations about what you've done, there's no point, is there? Absolutely no point. The only way you're going to drive ratings forward and make progress is being absolutely honest with each other. Let's look at the text screen here. Morning, Mike. I'm a taxi driver. Life is hard just now. How much do I make? Question mark. When you tell us what you make, Mike, I will tell you what I make. So mind your own business in the meantime.
That's me done. Shite show, to be honest.
I'd love to tell you how much I earn, but I can't.
I do get in bad form, actually, if it is a bad show. And that was a really poor show. There's just nothing took off.
Because it's obviously commercially sensitive information.
Of course I take it personally, because it's my business. It's my business, it's my reputation, it's what I do. And for anybody that sees a presenter as someone that comes in and, you know, just looks after a BBC show, to be honest with you, they can go to hell.
Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, or so they say. As far as radio's concerned, it's absolutely true. The best radio presenters constantly refine their performances and know if they keep returning to these foundations of performance, they'll continue to shine.
You have to take risks every night. I mean, you can't be afraid to fall on your ass because that's sometimes where the magic happens. The magic happens out your ass. You can quote me on that.
I will.
Yeah.
How are you being different? If you're just starting out, think of the big players in the game. Think of the big players in speech radio, John Humphreys, Nicky Campbell. Think of all those people. They are known for what they bring different to the gig. So don't go in there and try to be someone else. Be yourself and put your individual stamp on it.
Well, be yourself is great. They're absolutely right if they're saying be yourself, but it's adding that word just. You should be yourself because the radio is quite a strong microscope and will pick up if you're being a fraud. But to say just is wrong because you are presenting a show and it's about time that editors of stations realised and told their presenters and their producers that you're in show business. In the time that I've worked in local BBC, which is nearly 6 years now, I've not heard one person say to their staff, you're in show business. Well, you are in show business.
I do every show as though my career depends on it. Sounds a bit harsh, but it works for me. And I suppose when I'm doing the show, I always imagine that because there are 40 other stations out there that people could tune into, I do the show, every link, I'm imagining there's somebody with their hand on the dial, about to get bored, tune away and find another station. So all the time I'm thinking, is this interesting? Is this engaging? Because if not, they're going to be off somewhere else.